Good evening, Facebook. I am Megan with Square One Small Business Services here at Mid-Continent Public Library. We're thrilled to be here again tonight. We have the pleasure of being joined tonight by Ms. Cynthia Fails of Launch Crate Publishing. If you had the fortune of being here for our indie author panel Friday night, you will know who I am talking about, or if you've taken one of these branding classes before, she will be a familiar face. Before I turn things over to her, a couple of very minor housekeeping items. First of all, this is your time. We want to answer your questions, so get there in the comments. Let us know your name, a little bit about your business, and use that comment throughout the class to let us know what questions you have. Cynthia will answer those and do live Q&A with you. So don't be shy. Get in there, type your questions, let us know what you want to know. That's why we're here. And then at the end, I will post a link to a very short survey that helps us keep doing this programming for free on behalf of the library. So please do take a minute and fill out that very short survey for us. It's only a few questions. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn things over to our friend Cynthia.
Hey, Megan. Thanks so much for that. Good evening. I am really excited to join you all this evening. Really excited to be back to chat with you about what it is that you all are working on in terms of your businesses. You heard Megan say it. Please, please, please make sure that you drop whatever questions you have in the chat, in the comments section, right underneath this video that's pumping live right now. On Square One Small Businesses Facebook page so that we can make sure that we get those questions answered. The only question that I can't answer is the one that you don't ask me. So make sure that you type those in there. Also, tap in, say hello. Let me know where you're checking in from, where you're chatting from. We've had the chance to connect with people from all over America, which is really cool. So say hello. Let us know about your business, and we'll jump in and chat about creating your brand. First and foremost, I always like to make sure that people know what it is that we'll be covering as we go through this session. So you have an idea of where we're going, which is also why it's so important for you to make sure that you put your business in the chat, in the comments, so that I know who's out there and I can start to tailor this conversation to what it is that you do and to who it is that you are. So, we'll be headed in this direction. We're going to talk a little bit about a branding funnel and what that is and why it's important. We'll be talking about reputation and narrative and how to set that. We'll also be talking about why preparation is so important and imperative. We'll also be building an experience. So you'll get some hands on tools tonight, some interactive tools tonight that will give you the opportunity to start to create and craft your brand experience before you leave this session. So that's where we're going. Before we jump in, I want to make sure that I say hello to Angelina, who's checking in from North Kansas City. So glad that you're joining us, and I can't wait to hear more about the business that you're branding, or if it's you that you're branding, can't wait to learn more about that either. So that's where we're going, and let's jump in. The branding funnel. Before I walk you through this, tell me what you think in the comments the branding funnel is. What does it sound like to you? What do you think it's here for? Why do you think it exists? Drop those thoughts in the comments and let's see what it is that you think as we start to build this conversation tonight. What is a branding funnel? Why does it exist? What are your thoughts? I'm going to start to give you a little bit of a hint here as we go. What is a branding funnel? Why does it exist? Angelina, I see that you are in hospitality, part hotel, restaurant, and attraction. I love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Can't wait to chat more. Okay. Branding funnel. What is it? Why does it exist? Got some tips up here that might help you. It might tip off what it is that you think. A branding funnel, simply put, is a way that you think about scaling your business, right? You can see here on these slides, we're talking about awareness, position, knowledge, experience, loyalty, and advocates. What you want is to pour into your customers in a way that narrows you down from awareness into brand advocates, is essentially what you're doing, right? You want people to be aware of your brand. You want people to um, be able to identify quickly what their experience is with your brand. You want them to become brand advocates eventually, right? So we're going from this concept of knowing that you're here to positioning yourself at the top of the list when they think about whatever it is that you're doing, whether that is publishing, which is what I do, or writing, which is what I do, or whether that's in hospitality, like Angelina does. You also want them to be able to answer the question of why they should come to you, right? So not only do you want them to know that you're here, not only do you want them to know that, ooh, this is the top of the list person. These are the top 3 that I would go to, and you're in that top 3. This is why you're in that top 3, right? And you fall under the top 3 because all interactions that they have with you are top notch and they're all consistent, right? When we talk about building a brand, we're talking about making sure that all of your interactions, from meeting someone, Angelina, I'm going to use hospitality, from the moment that they see the website for the attraction or the restaurant or the hotel or whatever it is, right? That interaction on the website aligns with the interaction that they receive when they walk through the door, which aligns with their experience within whatever part of that experience is for them, right? To even check out or whatever signing signing your ticket at the end of the night, leaving a tip for your wait staff, right? Your experience should have a consistent thread from beginning to end. And that's what this branding funnel and branding is all about, right? If you do this right and if you do this well, you'll see customers coming back over and over again. You'll see clients coming back over and over again. That experience is key, right? And again, that thread that you're weaving from beginning to end, all of that centers around a strong brand. Once people start returning, they'll become your best promotion, right? They'll start to advocate for you without you even having to say a word, okay? Case in point, let me give you an example of an, an instance where my brother and I have been brand advocates for a specific company. So both of us growing up had very narrow feet, and it was really hard to find shoes that fit our feet because they were so narrow. There was one specific brand that made shoes in narrow that fit our feet, and the rest of them really didn't. We actually had shoes that we'd have to tie the shoe laces so tight that they would meet in the middle, which is not really good in terms of supporting your feet. Um, so, of course, if you find a brand that works for you, you're going to make sure that you communicate that to other people. So when people say, you know what, I have trouble finding shoes that fit my feet because my foot's so narrow, then guess what we're going to do? We're going to turn to them and we're going to say, you know what, I had a really good experience with this company consistently over the years. They've always had shoes that fit my feet. You might give them a shot. That's us becoming brand advocates for this company without them even realizing that we have become brand advocates. But we only got to that point because of our experience with that specific brand. And that experience was consistent over and over and over and over again. And that experience, again, there's that thread that we're weaving from beginning to end, is because their brand was so solid and so strong that it made a difference for us and likely for other people as well, right? So that's what we're going to build tonight. Um, Those of you that are checking in with me live, here's what I want you to do. We're going to do a quick check to see how well you know these specific brands, right? A lot of times we think about branding being the logo, right? Who are these companies that you see here? Drop that in the chat for me. Also, make sure that you say hello and introduce yourself. Let us know about your business as well. Who are these companies here? You see the logo. This is the beginning of a brand. It's not the brand in and of itself, but if they can identify your logo without your name on it, we've got a good start. We're off to a good start. There we go. We got some guesses. We got FedEx and Levi's. Levi's, absolutely. UPS is the other one. And there's one more in there. Demetria. Anybody guess that last one? You were really fast, by the way. The last one, I'll just go ahead and give it away for you. It's Lay's. There it is. All right. Lay's potato chips. Yes. Lay's, UPS, and Levi's on these. Let's go to the next one and see if we can guess what the next series are. 3 more for you. These are the last 3. So you were able to guess the first series of logos without directly seeing the brand in there. And part of that is tied to what we're going to be talking about tonight. Any guesses on these last 3? You may have to go back to your childhood for one of these. Pizza Hut is absolutely correct, Demetria. The one in the middle is usually tricky. If there's a techie that's watching, they'll probably guess Intel. And then again, we have to go way back to our childhood for Sesame Street. Demetria got it right again. Absolutely, right? Here's the thing about these logos. There's not a name in them at all, but you can tell by the colors. You can tell by the shape. And those are all part of what ties into your branding, right? So a lot of times people think, I need to brand my company, and they just do the logo. Branding is so much more than just the logo. The colors that you use are typically consistent, from promotional items to the logo to the website. There's, again, this thread of consistency woven throughout the entire experience that people will have with your brand. And you see these in Lay's, you see these in UPS, you see this in Levi's, you see this in Sesame Street and Intel and Pizza Hut. All of these things are consistent, right? So the logo is the start of your brand. It helps to bring awareness. Remember, we're talking about that branding funnel again and moving from awareness down into brand ambassadors. You have to make sure that your logo is one that people can identify quickly. But remember, this is not just your brand. There's more to it than that, right? Your brand should be telling a story. Within that story, people should be able to identify the value of your company or organization, or if you're branding yourself, what value you add to the world. They should be able to identify the feel and reputation pretty quickly, uh, based on all of the things that you create and all of the things that you add to the world. And when I say the things, I'm talking about videos that you might put out. I'm talking about any flyers that you might create. I'm talking about emails that you send. I'm talking about your website. I'm talking about your logo. I'm talking about items on social media that you create and that you promote that all align with your brand. All of those work together to build a story about who you are as a brand, right? So what we're doing is creating a narrative. That's how we start to move through this branding funnel, all right? The logo helps with awareness. The rest of these things will weave that consistent thread together for your brand. That's what we want to get to tonight. Okay. So, really quickly, let's do another quick case study. And I'm going to play this video. And what I want you to do in the comments as fast as you can, and you might be able to do this right now already, just looking at it, is tell me what company you think this is just by looking and listening to this commercial. It's really quick. All right, I'm going to play it one more time just in case you missed it because it is super fast. Again, what company is this? All right. Let's see those guesses. Let's see those guesses. Again, I'm betting you probably could have guessed this well before I pressed play. Megan said she thinks it's Target. Katina also says Target. You all would be absolutely 100% correct. Absolutely, Demetria. You guessed it as well. This is Target. How do we know this is Target? I want you all to jot those items down in the chat for me. How do we know this is Target? It didn't say Target, but how do we know this is Target? What tips it off to us that this is Target? There's got to be something that stood out to you that made you say, you know what, that is probably a Target ad. Yep, Megan said the colors. Absolutely. So when you look at the colors in the background of this ad, you look at the colors that the models are wearing, the actors are wearing within the commercial. This is the same Target red that you'll see in their logo. The colors absolutely tie back into it. What else lets you know that this is Target? This is a good one. This is a really good one. Target is really consistent in their branding and making sure that their branding is congruent from beginning to end, no matter what comes out. It's really, really consistent. Megan said, the people don't talk. It's just music. A lot of times that is exactly what you get from Target commercials, right? They don't say anything. They're just minding their merry business. They're walking through with their carts or they're skipping through with their baskets and they're adding stuff in and high-fiving in the aisles at Target. I've never seen anybody do that, but it looks like a lot of fun. All of their ads bring that same type of energy. There's never much speaking from people, but they all have this upbeat music as well. And one more thing I want you to look at is this font that you'll see at the end of this, where it says Score More, same day delivery. They use the same font from beginning to end, whether it's on their weekly ads that they have, whether it's on these commercials that you see, whether it's on social media campaigns that they have. Target is consistent in making sure that their experience, when you look at something, you should be able to quickly know this is Target, right? Let's look at one more. And then we'll talk in a little bit about the value, the feel, and the reputation for these. But we're going to do one more quick video. And I want you to tell me who you think this video is from. Ooh, Demetria is fast. All right, Demetria guessed it correctly. Tell me, Demetria, what you think. How'd you know it was Nike so quickly? Drop that in the comments for me. What gave it away? Definitely a Nike commercial. What gives away this one? The black and white and the music, she says. Absolutely correct. Nike is also pretty consistent in the types of commercials that they create. Yeah, the logo is in there as well. I don't know if you guys saw this. The guy was doing push-ups and then he had his little Nike slides beside him. And if you pay attention to some of the details in there, you can sort of see it. Um, but it's really subtle, right? But they're very consistent in the way that their brand is expressed as well. The same way that Target has their themes and their feel, Nike is the same way. And a lot of companies do this as well. So we've talked about big companies, but small companies do this really well as well, right? And then what it comes down to is the story that they're trying to tell, the story that they're offering about their brand. Um, Target, in the commercial that we just looked at right before this one, they were offering excitement. They were offering a solution to something that might have been happening in the moment. It looked like they were cheering on some sort of athletics. I don't know if it was baseball or if it was football, but they were excited and there was a mess. And so they said, hey, if there's a mess, you can come in and get Glad bags from Target. Two different brands all working together in the same commercial, right? They're offering a solution in a fun way. Nike, in this specific commercial, was offering a message of hope and a message of encouragement for everybody to hunker down. This came out in 2020. Hunker down and do their part so that we could move through what was the beginning of something that nobody, to my knowledge, had experienced at this level, right? Um, so you can see what the value was for each of those. And we can definitely sense a difference in feel between the Target ad and the Nike ad. What's the difference in feel between those two to you? Between the Target ad that we just saw and the Nike ad? How did they feel different? What was the difference in the feel for those two? Y'all drop that in the chat for me. This is important because we're going to start to dig into the difference and how we can tell the difference so that we can create whatever it is that your feel is. We can identify that as well. So drop that in the chat. What's the difference in the feel between the Target ad that we saw and the Nike ad that we saw? Yeah, Megan said Target was light and fun. Nike was more serious. Demetrius said the difference in feel was exciting versus more melancholy. Absolutely. Right? We can tell the difference between these two um, pretty quickly. And it comes down to a combination of the way that the videos were shot, right? So we have more cinematic versus more bright poppy film. The music was different as well. And one was really moody versus the other, again, being light and airy and fun. Okay. These are the types of things that start to create the feel of whatever it is that you're putting out. You can do the same thing for video. You can do the same thing for audio. So if you have a podcast that you're creating for something, the audio that you create will set the stage for whatever it is that your podcast is about. Angelina said Nike was more somber and serious, but still hopeful. And then Target was playful and joyful. These are all spot on. You all nailed it. So now that we can start to identify what the difference in feel is, we can start to dig into how we do that for us, right? So we have to dissect it first. And then that gives us the opportunity um, to go a little bit more in depth into what and value is for us, feel and reputation is for us, so that we can start to create the story of our brand. So here's what we're going to do next. You all have the opportunity to see, and Megan, I might ask you if it's possible to take me out so this is a little bit larger so that they can see that. I don't think that made that much of a difference. All right, I'm back. So here's what I want you to do. There are quite a few different core values here. And I want you to think about your um, business or you as a brand, whatever it is that you're attempting to brand right now. And I want you to narrow down your top 10 out of all of these values that you see here. What are your top 10 values as either a business or if you're branding yourself as you, right? So let's take about 2 minutes and I want you to narrow it down. So you've got integrity. If you have questions about the definition of any of these, drop that in the comments so that I can define that for you. But integrity, boldness, honesty, trust, accountability, customer commitment, passion, fun, humility, continuous learning, ownership, constant improvement, innovative, stewardship, performance, leadership, diversity, innovation, might be similar to innovative, quality, teamwork, connection, simplicity, impact, social value, sustainability, community, cost conscious, beauty, renewal, courage, integrity, client value, genuine, exceptional, empathy, respect, responsibility, justice, collaboration, inspiration, and simplicity. Narrow it down to your top 10. And once you have your top 10, I want you to type in the comments, got it, so that I know you're ready for the next step. What are your top 10 values? Top 10 values. And while you all are working on this, I'm going to narrow this down for me as well. This will be a working workshop. Working workshop. We can say that, right? Again, once you have it narrowed down to your top 10, I want you to type got it in the comments. As you're choosing your top 10 values, know that what you're working on is the beginning of creating the core of your brand. That's why this is so important. You have to start with why, and these values will help to drive your why. My guess is that they'll also probably align with your mission and vision statement if you have them already developed. All right, quick reminder, if you checked in a little bit late, make sure that you tell me a little bit about your business in the chat as well so that we can know what it is that you're working on branding this evening. All right. Angelina's got it. I love it. Cool. My guess is that the rest of you are probably also getting close. Angelina, how are you feeling about the 10 that you have right now, the 10 values that you have? Okay, here we go. I'm getting close on mine. Hard to narrow it down. All right. Once you've narrowed it down to your top 10, I want you to take that top 10 list and narrow that down to 5. So we're going to chop that list in half, which might feel painful. It might. It's okay. I promise you it's going to be okay. What I want you to do as you start to sift through these is to see if there are some values that are similar to others, right? See if there are some values that are similar to others. Is collaboration on your list and is teamwork on your list? Those might be considered pretty similar, and you can choose one out of those two. How do we narrow it down? Start to look at what aligns, what is similar, and narrow those down. We're going from top 10 to your top 5. Angelina said she's feeling pretty good. They all definitely describe the kind of atmosphere and story that she wants to create, which is awesome. I love it. So here's what we're doing. We're going from our top 10 to our top 5. And then I'm going to make it really painful and narrow that top 5 down to 3. We're narrowing it down to our top 3, right? Why 3? 3 is your core. 3 is your core. 3 is quick for you to remember. 3 is quick for you to determine the videos that we put out. Do they align with these 3 values that we have? The content that we're putting out on social media, does it align with these 3 values that we have? How do you narrow that down? Again, you're going to have to determine if there are maybe 1 or 2 that align with each other. Can you say that innovation and fun are similar some sort of way? You got to make the case for it. Once you have your top 3, I want you to drop those in the chat so that we can see what you're working with. This is my favorite part. I can't wait to see your top 3. Once you have your top 3, again, put those in the chat so that we know what your top 3 values are for the company that you are branding today. Five is definitely much harder, Angelina. Wait till you have to narrow that down to 3. Hurston says genuine, fun, and simplicity. Angelina is trying to barter and see if she can have 6. Here's what I want you to do, Angelina. Drop the top 10 in the comments so that we can see if we can help you to narrow it down. There might be some that connect, that overlap, that we can help you to combine here. So Hurston has his 3. The 3 that we have are integrity, innovation, and what was the last one? Connection. That'll be the 3rd one that we have. As I'm narrowing down my list, I'm looking at integrity, innovation, social value, diversity, fun, stewardship, quality, connection, impact, and justice. And out of those 10, They all tend to fall into these three categories of integrity, innovation, and connection. Integrity, innovation, and connection. That's how I got it down to 3 for me. They all fall under those, right? What does it fall under for your business? Narrow it down to your top 3. And Angelina, if you need some help, let us know. We would gladly help you to narrow that down. All right. So you're starting to identify what you value. And I want you to hold on to those 3. Hold on to those 3 because we're going to use those 3 to drive everything else that we do moving forward in this session. Okay. So you got your top 3, whatever they might be. And now we have to go back into identifying the feel, right? We were able to identify the feel between the Nike commercial and the Target commercial. And there were a bunch of things that helped to create the feel, right? If we're looking at the branding of some consistent products, you'll be able to distinguish between the feel of these products, right? Energy drinks, for example. Monster energy drinks versus Red Bull energy drinks. Both of them are energy drinks. What's the difference in feel between these 2? How would you describe the difference in feel? Ooh, Angelina, I love it. She chose a word that wasn't on the list, but it's very similar for one of her top 3, which is fun, innovative, and inclusive. I love it. I'm glad you were able to get it down to 3. Awesome. Okay. So we're going from what we value into defining the feel for us, right? 2 energy drinks on the screen here. Both of them are supposed to provide you with a boost of something. But the branding for these 2 are very different. They're distinctly different. Monster Energy versus Red Bull Energy. What makes them different? How do you distinguish the difference in feel? How would you describe the personality for Monster Energy drinks? Or how would you describe the personality for Red Bull energy drinks? And you can pull from the branding of these cans or from the commercials that you might remember for any of these products that are here. How would you describe the personality of these? Again, what you're doing here is starting to identify and dissect from brands that do a phenomenal job of branding so that we can do the same type of thing for what it is that we're branding ourselves, right? I've seen people say that Monster energy drinks uh, look like they're more for younger people versus Red Bull. Hurston says that the branding or the feel for Monster is fierce versus competitive for Red Bull. Absolutely, I could see that. When you also think about um, the feel of these 2 and the personality of these 2, you can see it in the type of um, content that they put out, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's the Red Bull games that they show on ESPN, right? All of the feel, all of the personality is consistent for each of these brands respectively, right? That's what we're about to do for your brand. So I want you to take the same concept, right? Monster Energy has its own personality. Red Bull Energy has its own personality. If your brand had a personality, it would be described as what? Put that in the comments for me. If my brand had a personality, it would be described as what? Think about this in terms of describing a friend to someone that you think they should meet, right? You met this interesting person while you were out networking, and you say, you know what? I've got a friend that does XYZ. They're really, boom, this is their personality, right? What's the personality for your business? How would you describe it? Let me give you an example for using LaunchCrate, the publishing company that I created, right? When people describe LaunchCrate and the personality behind LaunchCrate, I often hear them say that they are it's a quirky publishing company or it's a forward-thinking publishing company, and I'll take both of those because that's kind of the feel that we have created within the publishing company itself. So thinking about yours, how would people describe your business? That might be a way to help you identify what the personality would be. Angelina said if her brand had a personality, it would be described as spunky, fun, and lighthearted. I love it. Awesome, right? If my brand had a personality, it would be described as what? This one is important. So much so that I want you to make sure that you really take the time to get this nailed down and very specific because the feel that you create for your brand feeds into the story that you're building about who your brand is, what value you add to the world, and how you want to be seen. Okay. So we have to figure out what your brand's personality is. Uh, because if it's like Hurston and it's sophisticated humor with a dash of edge, you're going to be very consistent in making sure that you weave that through all of the stuff that you put out, right? Whether those are videos, whether those are posts on social media, the feel is going to be the same from content type to content type. And that's what we want to make sure that we get. Okay. So we know what it is that we value. We have an idea of what the feel is or should be for our brand. Then the next thing that we have to think about is our reputation, right? I want to be known as the brand who does what? Want you to state this very succinctly, be very specific in your answer to this. We will be known as the brand who what? Using LaunchCrate as an example, we'll be known as the brand who flips the publishing industry on end. That's our reputation. That's what we're doing. And we're doing that one book at a time and one author at a time, right? That's part of the story that we're creating within LaunchCrate because of the work that we're doing. You all are doing something very specific with the companies and the brands that you are creating this evening. Drop it in the comments so that we know. You'll be known as the brand who what? You'll be known as the brand who what? Again, your answer to this question will help to drive everything that you create as you're building the story of your brand and you're moving people from that branding funnel from awareness down into the brand experience and out to become brand ambassadors so that everything is consistent from beginning to end. No matter where they jump in along the journey, their experience will be consistent in terms of the feel, in terms of the reputation, and in terms of the value that they can receive from your company or your services, or you if you're branding yourself individually, right? We'll be known as the brand who blank. Will be known as the brand who what? Again, type those answers in the comments. I love hearing these. And your answers may give somebody else an idea that works for them as well. Creative brainstorming at its finest. Will be known as the brand who blank. If you have questions about any of these, drop it in the comments and I'll help you as best as I can as we're going. Will be known as the brand who what? Don't overthink this. Think about what it is that you value. And think about what it is that you want the field to be. And my guess is that your reputation will probably align with those two things, which also probably aligns again with your mission and vision statement if you have crafted those already. Hurston said, we'll be known as the brand who is stylish while not taking ourselves too serious. I love it. Angelina says, we'll be known as the brand who changes the hotel and attraction industry. I love these. These are all very specific. And the reputation that you're setting now is something that your customers will feel. It's something that if you're branding like a YouTube channel per se, then it's something that your viewers should feel. It'll come out in everything that you create that's aligned with your brand's narrative. Okay. So here's the story that you just created. Right. When sharing our story, this is an example for you to think about with Launch Crate specifically. When sharing our story, we're pretty quirky, we're pretty streamlined, and we're pretty forward thinking in terms of the types of graphics and videos that we put out, right? This is part of the feel. Our brand exists, again, to flip the publishing industry on end. That goes back into the reputation. So who we are, what we do, and why we do it. We're an innovative publishing company that helps authors share their stories and tips the scale in favor of creators. I want you to do the same thing for you. When sharing our story, we are blank. Fill in the blank for you. Our brand exists to blank. To do what? And then who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? Fill in the blank for that as well. Angelina, I love that you said we'll be known as the brand that values people and the environment. I'm like Square One Small Business Services. Can we double love that one as well? Awesome stuff. All right. Again, do this for you and for your brand story that you're creating. How are you going to share your story? What's the theme look like? We have quirky videos. We have quirky music associated with those videos. And it's all very clean and streamlined as we're sharing this. We're also forward thinking and thinking about how what we create today can create ripples that might change things in the future, right? So think about this from your lens for your brand that you're creating. When sharing our story, we are what? And answer that for you. For the next one, our brand exists to what? This goes back to your reputation. This goes back to your reputation, which you just identified. And then last but not least, you can wrap all of what you just did, the value, the feel, and the reputation up into these three things: who we are, what we do, and why we do it. The value, the feel, and the reputation all comes down to these three areas: who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Right? So I want you to make sure that you take time to really think this through. And when you get to the last one, drop that in the comments for me. Who we are, what we do, and why we do it. This is the story that you're creating about your brand. This is what will help people know that you exist. It'll help position you at the top of the list for these specific things, the reasons why you do the things that you do, and who you are as a brand. It moves you up in positioning. It helps people understand what it is that you do. Remember, we're going down through that branding funnel: awareness, position, knowledge. You want people to understand why they should come to you. These three questions will do it, or these three statements will do it: who we are, what we do, and why we do it. That's what you're creating here. We're getting more and more streamlined in that branding funnel that we saw at the beginning. We're right about in the middle in terms of positioning. So that leads us into experience. That leads us into experience. Okay. Who we are, what we do, why we do it. For us, we're an innovative publishing company that helps authors share their stories and tip scales in favor of creatives and creators. That's what we do. And in thinking about creating that experience, we have to make sure that we are well prepared to do that, right? And in preparing, you want to make sure that you do something that grabs people's attentions. So like a gotcha, right? You want to reel them in. We're doing this in a quirky way. We're doing this in a streamlined way. We're doing this in a fun way, but we still have to find a way with our copy, and copy being the text that we use to communicate with people, the words that we use to communicate with people, the story that we start to create to communicate with people. We have to do something that's catchy, that grabs them really fast, right? And then we start to craft out what that service or experience looks like for everybody that comes in touch and in contact with our company or with our business or with us individually, if we're branding ourselves individually as well, right? And we have to make sure that all of those things are aligned. So we're looking at the gotcha. We're looking at identifying what our service and that experience looks like. We're dreaming up what are all of those touch points where we see people. What should their experience be with us on social media? If they connect with us from social media and jump to the website, what does that experience look like when they go to the website? If they go from the website and then reach out to us and they fill out a contact us form, what does that contact look like on the other side? Do they need to receive a thank you message that we have received their information and we'll be following up with them soon? What should that look like, right? Now we're starting to dream about what that brand experience is. Once we receive an email from them, what does our follow up with them look like? Are we asking to meet with them in person? Are we asking for a phone call? Are we following up via email? What does that consistent service look like from experience to experience to experience? What you're doing with all of this detail work is creating something that's going to be consistent from customer to customer and client to client, which is exactly what you want when you're trying to create that consistent themed thread that weaves throughout your entire brand, right? You got to make sure that it's consistent. In order to do that, you have to make sure that you're creating the best opportunity for success. I want to go back really quickly to who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Angelina, your answer is awesome. I love it. You said when we're sharing our story, we're fun, we're excited, and passionate. Our brand exists to create a new hotel and attraction experience. We're a hotel that's also an attraction that creates an immersive experiences like never before in an inclusive and a sustainable way. That is super powerful, super powerful. And I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. So again, we're talking about brainstorming all of the touch points. And I want you to write this down because I want to keep pushing forward. I want to be mindful of time. And I want to make sure that I leave time to answer any questions that you might have for stuff that I didn't necessarily cover in this session. Okay. So write this down. What are all of my customer touch points? Think about as many of them as possible, so that you can start to brainstorm what that service looks like and what that experience looks like, no matter where they find you along the way. You meet somebody out and about and they have a question about something, or you meet them at a networking event and you hand them a business card. Where are they going from that business card? That's a touch point, right? Word of mouth is a touch point. Handing somebody a flyer is a touch point. Social media is a touch point. The website is a touch point. Right? These are all of the places where people can interact with you. You've got to think about all the touch points that you have with your customers and how to tie them back to you quickly. Right? What you don't want is for it to just linger out there. Okay. So think about all the touch points that you have with your customers and start to create a way to tie them back to you individually. Or if you have um, other staff, how do you connect them to the right people at the right time? What you're doing is creating the experience for those who come in contact with you. Okay. Again, if you have any questions as we're going through this, we're covering a lot. This is something that you could probably fill out an entire semester's worth of course on, but we're doing a crash course on it tonight. So we're going kind of quickly, but I want to make sure that if you have questions that I get to answer those as well. So put those in the comments if you have them. Okay. So thinking about the experience that people have with you as you're creating this experience, what might that look like? Maybe there are articles that you're sharing. Maybe you're doing guest blogging posts and you're linking those back to your website or your social media, and you're finding people and connecting with people that way. That's part of the experience. It can be part of the experience, right? Articles that align with the work that you're doing and sharing those. Maybe you didn't write them, but maybe there's a good article. Angelina, we're going to use yours, for example. Maybe there's a good article on the shifting hotel industry that aligns with the work that you're trying to create right now, that you are creating or that you have created, right? So if there's an article that aligns with the work that you're doing, that aligns with your what, your who, your how, and your why, um, you can share those types of articles, and that helps to create a similar experience for your customers, right? So articles are one way to add to the experience. Themed content is another way to add to the experience, right? So thinking about social media, and this is a big one. Thinking about social media, um, is there a way for you to share similar things on Monday, on Wednesdays, and on Fridays, and then have Tuesdays and Thursdays be just kind of an as they come? Or maybe you have Tip Tuesdays and Motivation Mondays and Fearless Fridays, or something that aligns with the work that you're doing, right? Themed content gives um, your followers an opportunity to know what to expect from you. You're building out again the experience for them. So if there's a way that you can create content that follows a theme, that might help to create a similar experience from person to person, regardless of what it is that they're coming to you for. Okay. And the last one that I want you to think about is a way that you can connect with people. Again, what does it look like when they interact with you specifically? When they interact with your Facebook, or when they interact with your Instagram pages, or with you on Twitter? How quickly do you respond to them? And how are you responding? So for us, when people connect with us on Facebook, and they comment on something, we usually reply with, and I'm going to say this both ways because I don't know how you pronounce it, a GIF or a GIF, right? So we will respond with something that shows a little bit more of our personality, um, in that quirky and streamlined and forward-thinking way that also thanks them for connecting with us, engages with what it is that they have shared with us, and brings it right back to, again, that value, that feel, and the reputation that we are creating within our brand, right? So you have the opportunity to think through how to connect with your followers as well. Thank you. You say your brand sounds like it has a fun personality. It is absolutely my personality, which you might get a sense of if you check out my individual pages as well. So, really quickly before we move forward, I want to go back and acknowledge Hurston has made it through the what, the how, and the why. He said, "We're a simple, stylish, and humorous lifestyle brand. Our brand exists to connect our community with a brand that's both familiar and humorous. They're a lifestyle brand who creates stylish pieces of wearable art using edge and humor." I love it. Right? All right. So we know who we are, what we do, why we do it. We started to think through all of the touch points where we connect with customers. Now we're starting to think through what types of content we can share that's either themed to give them an idea of what they can expect from us, or that aligns with the work that we're doing in the form of articles or something else that someone else has done, right? And we're also thinking through how we connect with them and keep them engaged as they're connecting with us. What does that connection look like, right? That's how we're building out the experience piece for our brand story, right? Um, let's look at another quick example here. We're looking at Target
Even
again.
now, some things never change. Calls home still happen. Birthdays still happen. Kisses good morning. Stories before bed. We still find ways to stay close, even when we're apart. These things never change. Neither will our purpose. Our hearts are open. Our teams are here, doing everything we can to help all families. Today, tomorrow, always.
All right. So this was a bit of a departure for Target, right? Usually, and we've identified this already, usually Target commercials are really upbeat and fun. But they really stopped to think about what was important in the moment and how to make sure that they still created an experience for their customers that aligned with who they were as a brand, that had a feel that matched the typical feel that they create. And by that, I mean their brand experience. You were able to probably look at this and tell that it was Target again, from the colors that they used to the font that they used. Even though the music was a bit more melancholy this time, it was still pretty simplistic um, in the music that they used, right? So the feel was still consistent, um, and the feel matched the moment. So this was something that they put out in response to the pandemic, to let you know what they were thinking through on their end in a way that they could connect with you as their customer uh, on the back end. Okay. It still aligns with their core value. It still aligns with who they are, what they do, and why they do it. The experience is still Target, right? You could still pick that out if you looked at that commercial. Even though it's slightly different, it's not as energetic as it was in every other commercial that you see. Um, but it's still something that aligns with their core values. It aligns with not only their values, but again, the feel and reputation that they have created as a brand. One of the things that you'll notice if you go to Target's YouTube channel right now is that as a response to this, they have created some consistent playlists that will help you to figure out some things that you can do at home, right? So now they have content that aligns with the branding in terms of the color and the font and the feel, but it all aligns together to create an experience that connects with their customers, not just in terms of, hey, we have this stuff that you might need, but at a human level. What Target has done is to create an experience um, that helps you to feel connected to others in times where we couldn't have been more separated, right? So it's a really, really good case study. If you have the chance to go to Target's YouTube channel, check it out so that you can see some of the stuff that they've created over the past year. You can see some of the content that they've created that aligns with who they are as a brand. All right. So we're going to keep it consistent since we chose Nike for the second one. We're going to look at what Nike has created for theirs. And I want you all to do this for me as we're starting to think about how to do this for ourselves. I want you to type in what value Nike is providing with this and how that aligns with their feel and reputation. Thank you, Megan. All right. So Nike also made a pivot in 2020, and they went from showing a lot of professional athletes to showing types of workouts that you can do at home and also showing ways that you can eat healthy while you're at home as well, right? So Nike, when you think about them as a brand, they are all about sport and health and wellness. And their pivot was straight into how we can make sure that our customers and our clients and those we are serving are still, they still have an opportunity to fall under these things, right? So we're looking at the feel of this specific video that you just watched. Nike has a very clean feel as well. Even when their videos are more moody, it's still clean and crisp. If you look at their commercials, they're clean, they're crisp. Um, and this is no different from that, right? Um, the value that they're offering to their customers in terms of giving them something that they can do at home, something that's manageable, and helping them understand the benefit of shifting to these types of meals is tremendous, right? And you can check out their YouTube channel as well so that you can see some of the stuff that they have been creating over the last year, even in 2021, and how that still aligns with their value, their feel, and their reputation, right? And start to look around at not just Target and Nike, but there are some um, smaller companies that are doing some big things as well. Um, the one that comes to mind for me in the Kansas City area is Lisa with, I think it's Urban, is it Urban Hikers KC or Urban Hike KC or something like that? And if you look at her Instagram, you can get a really quick understanding of the value that their company offers, that their brand offers to their clients. You can also get a feel of who they are as a brand and an idea of their reputation and why they exist and what it is that they're doing from the quick videos that they create and the feel that's behind those videos and the type of way that they interact with people on their Instagram feeds. you can see even the stories that they create, the reels that they create, all of them are consistently themed, right? So start to think about your favorite um, YouTube creators. Start to think about your favorite Instagram creators or the people that you follow on Facebook or Twitter, and really start to dig into these things for them as well. Why is it that you are so drawn to them? What value are they offering? What feel are they creating? What's the reputation that they have started to build? And how do you do that for yourself? Right? That's how you start to dissect these things and do it really well for you. So, you've already figured out and started to dissect what you value. You already know how you want to share it and what you want the feel to be for your brand. You've already identified that reputation for your brand. You've already started to think about the customer touch points and how you're going to interact with people, right? So you're starting to craft and create that experience for folks. And once that is consistent, that's bringing us further and further down that branding funnel, right? The branding funnel goes from awareness to position and people knowing that you're at the top of the list when it comes to the specific um, type of service that you offer or the value that you offer. They're understanding why they should come to you because you've identified who you are, what you do, and why you do it. The experience is consistent across all interactions because you've really stopped to think through, again, those touch points and how you communicate with people when they connect with you, how you connect back to them as human beings, which starts to make them loyal customers, right? Once they're loyal customers, once they are loyal clients, what they'll do is to come back to you over and over again. And they'll also share with other people what it is that you're doing. Okay. So let's dig a little bit deeper, not into the Nike commercial, but into what your experience is going to be. Right. This is a chance for you to really stop and think through what that's going to be for you. Okay. Remember, you're creating the experience for them. You're creating the experience for them. What type of articles are you going to share? What type of content will be consistent, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Facebook, whether that's your website, if you have a blog, maybe posting consistent content on your blog, posting consistently, whether that's once a week or every other day or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That themed content and consistent content is going to be key. Okay. What does that look like for you? What does that look like for your brand? How does that align with the values that you're offering to the rest of the world? How does that align with the feel that you have created? And how does that reinforce the reputation that you want? That's what you're doing. This is your homework. Start to think about what types of articles you can share, what type of content you can share, and how you're going to connect with those that you serve. Drop those in the comments. We'll hang around for a little bit. And I would love, love, love to answer any questions that you might have about what this looks like for you. So drop those in the comments and I'll get those questions answered. And before we jump too far in to those questions, there is an awesome survey that I want to make sure that you fill out for Square One Small Business Services. And I think Megan is going to drop that in the chat. She's already dropped it in the chat. She's ahead of me. Make sure that you fill out that survey so that we can have a better idea of how we're serving you and we can make sure that we're tailoring content that fits you. Again, if you have any questions, drop those in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. And if you have questions about the types of articles or the type of content that you want to push, this is the time to ask. Right. I feel like we should have some background music playing right now. Great stuff. Okay. Again, you all make sure that you fill out that survey so that we can know what we are doing well and how best to serve you. These sessions are for you, and we want to make sure that we are serving you as effectively as we can. Right. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to give you back a little bit of time, and I'll pop in the comments and drop questions um, or drop answers to those questions in the comments as we go. But Angelina looks like she has a question here. Oh, no questions right now. She says she's still in the creation phase of her company, so she doesn't have any questions right now, but is thinking things through and figuring out the details, which is a really fun spot to be in. Uh, Angelina, I love that you are still in the creation phase and that you have taken the time to create and think through what it is that you value and who you are and what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if you can create this now while you're still in the building stage, it's just going to make your brand that much stronger um, as you go. So, best of luck to you. And Hurston, best of luck to you and what it is that you're creating and building as well. And to the rest of you, the same to you as well. Again, make sure that you fill out that survey for Square One Small Business Services and make sure that you reach out to them for one-on-one support as you go. They have a lot of great resources and can help you think through any of the questions that might come up along the way. And with that, thank you for sharing time with me this evening. If you found any of it of value, make sure that you like it, that you share it, and subscribe to Square One Small Business Services. They have a lot of content. They're providing a lot of value to the world as a whole, and nobody can know about it unless we share it. So make sure that you're sharing the content that you find of value so that other people can know and learn from it as well. Y'all have a good evening.